Two steps forward and one step back. That's a common phrase or saying people use sometimes when they talk about their life and how the progress they're making in their life. So if they say two steps forward, one step back, it seems like for every good thing or a few good things that happen, there's always one huge setback that puts me back in life. And to an extent, I sympathize with that and I get it. But honestly, there was a time in my life where I had to change that sort of framework from thinking in terms of like progress I was making, 2 steps today, 1 step the next day, 3 steps, forward, and then 2 steps back. I had to make a shift. And once I made that shift, it kind of opened my eyes to see life from a better perspective, I would say. Before I start talking about that, though, I do want to say my name is Ryan Holguin. This channel is called The Practical Place, where I like to talk about big ideas, anywhere from career growth to business, what's happening in sort of a macro sense, to sports and data. I like anything in between any of those subjects, and provide commentary on my perspective and really use this as sort of almost like a video diary of things I'm thinking about and just thinking through things out loud. A lot of the footage or videos I've been doing lately have been more of a raw sit-down sort of style with no editing, try to make it as authentic as possible. So if any of that interests you, I would encourage you to subscribe and join the almost 350 other people that have subscribed here, which I really appreciate, seeing this community grow and seeing other like-minded people just come along for the ride. So as I was saying, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Do you ever feel like that? I know there's a lot of times, even today, where I do feel like that, but it was several years ago where I sort of changed that framework from thinking that I'm making progress and then I have a major setback. So let's say it's something like you're going for a job and you're applying for jobs and you're putting in a lot of work and you're doing a lot of research and studying for an interview, and you finally get an email back and you're going to get that interview for that job. And forgive me, I'm a little congested, so if I sound weird. But so you finally get the interview, right? And you go through the interview and you get off the phone or you leave the office and you feel like you really crushed it and you nailed it. So you're making some progress. You feel really good. There's a lot of external sort of reinforcement of like, I'm making progress. I'm doing well. This is going well for me. The momentum's there. And then a week later, you get an email or even a call that you didn't get the job. What do you do? I know that's been my story a few times where you go for a job. I've had to interview a few times for the same job before I got it. And, in that moment of rejection, there's just so much discouragement. This is one example, and there's many other things I'm sure one can think about of disappointment or setbacks, personally, professionally, whatever. But you just feel so torn down. You feel so tired. You feel so useless at that moment, to be really extreme about it. But some people might feel that way. They put all their eggs in this basket and it didn't pan out the way they thought. Now, if you're viewing life in terms of, I took a few steps ahead, I took a risk and I applied and I did the work and I didn't get it. Like, this confirms that, like, I don't need to take risk. I don't need to take, I don't need to go forward and try these new things. And that, for one, that might be the conclusion that is necessary, that they need to stay where they're at or whatever. But if you're somebody who subscribes to this channel or is watching this video, I imagine that's probably not you, where you get rejected and you're going to settle. I imagine you're somebody who wants to continue to grow, wants to sort of rise to the potential you feel like you have, but whenever life or other people sort of put you down or reject you, what do? How are you supposed to view positively in that moment? Well, I mean, for me, it was changing the perspective of how much progress am I making to which direction am I going? And whenever I started to change my mindset to say, well, it's all about direction in life. It's not necessarily about progress in terms of how I can see it, but it's direction. So meaning, if my goal is to become a project manager, which for the longest time my goal was to become a project manager, it was, how do I become a project manager? And it was seeking out information so I can learn, well, what does it take for one to even be qualified to become a project manager? And then it was, well, now I know this. How do I find that it within, my company? And then I realized that, and then it was like, well, what do I have to do to get there? So what I'm trying to say is that it's not necessarily about, well, right now I didn't make any progress today to get to that place. It was, am I generally headed in the direction to become a project manager? And even in the interview process, and you don't get the interview in this example, like that is still headed in the right direction, because if you have this sort of mindset to where you're not going to let, at least for me, if you're not going to let these external things knock you down or get your confidence off, then you know that you're headed in the right direction. So you didn't land the interview. Okay, well, what did you learn from the interview? You could have learned, well, that wasn't a good job for me. That wasn't a good fit anyways. I didn't really mesh well with the hiring manager, so it wouldn't have worked out anyways. Or I really loved it and this was everything I wanted, but I still didn't get it. But what did they tell me? And you need to make sure to ask good questions in this specific case, like, well, what didn't I do that I need to be doing for next time? And whenever they give you, those are good opportunities to take note and to work into that direction if that's the goal you want to have. And to me, that really changed the perspective, because it really helped me see like life every single day. It's not about necessarily how much progress I make, but it's just which direction was I headed? And that's a big difference of just mindset shift and like a perspective whenever you think about, it's not all about the velocity of like going so fast. I know we're in this age of like efficiency and productivity and fast and whatever, but it's like life is a marathon. Life is really long, assuming you live a full life, right? And so there's no quote unquote rush. I mean, there's a sense of urgency that I try to operate with every single day, where I'm really intentional and I'm trying to be high performing. But I feel like urgency is a lot different than like velocity or speed. It's like I'm urgent in the sense of like I'm really intentional and I'm intense and I'm really trying to like do super well in what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean like I'm really trying to like go really fast and like knock out all these projects all the time. Now, if my urgency leads me to do that, then that's great. But like the goal is not speed. It's urgency. It's high performing is sort of the goal. So viewing it in terms of like a compass and knowing that like, what is my North Star? What is that thing I'm trying to head toward? And hopefully it's like a deep thing for you. Like hopefully it's like not just like obtain a bunch of money, because you could do that in a bunch of illegal ways. You could do that in ways that are compromising your own values or morals or family or whatever. And so it has to be sort of deeper. I would say probably more like something that taps in, not to be too deep, but like something that taps into the soul of like who you are and what you were built for. Like, what is your purpose? Why were you put on this earth? Is it to collect a check? I don't think so. Maybe you think that it is. There's probably more to it than that. Like we do a job and then we exchange our service for some sort of money. So what is that service we're going to be doing? And it has to sort of tap into whatever that thing is for you, I think. I mean, you can have your own values and whatever, right? But yeah, just for me, that helps me stay consistent and not get so rocked in life, because you're going to be let down. I mean, it's bound to happen. If you haven't been let down, then you're going to be let down at some point, professionally or personally. And it's, what do you do in that moment? And a lot of times in those moments of rejection or being let down or rock bottoms, like that is where like light shines the most, because it's dark, it's hard, it's isolated. And in those moments where you see that light, and if you have this sort of wherewithal to say, you know what? I was headed in the right direction. I'm still headed in the right direction. So like, despite whatever this external circumstance or rejection looks like, I'm going to still persevere despite that. And it's almost like, I think about this a lot too. It's almost like this sort of subtle state of delusion one has to live in, especially if you aspire to be more than where you're at. Like you have to live in this constant tension of like, I'm not where I want to be. So I know that, but I also am going to sort of operate as if I'm there, or as if I'm trying to get there. And so you're living almost a stage ahead when you're a stage behind, if that makes sense. That's how it's like, it sort of makes sense in my mind. It's like, I want to be more, I want to be in that next step, but like, I'm not there. So like, if I were to operate in that sense right now, I would look somewhat delusional. So I sort of have to manage what that looks like externally. But I also know like, well, I have to do more than what I'm doing now, because I'm not there yet, right? The world has not validated that I'm there yet, because I'm not there. So, but that's knowing that, well, what does it take for me to get to point B? If I'm in point A right now, well, there's a whole lot of work. There's a whole lot of knowledge I have to obtain. There's a whole lot of conversations I have to have. And it's not about progress. It cannot be about progress, at least to me, because that is such a discouraging way for me to live. If I keep seeing every setback as I get to 50% of progress and then I get knocked back down to 45%. Like, that's pretty discouraging way to look at it for me. Now, everybody's different. So if the progress meter is helpful, then maybe, to each their own, do your thing. But if it's just a compass and a direction, and you're on a road trip and you're headed from east to west, and then all of a sudden you realize you took the wrong turn, but you're headed northeast. Well, I've still got east in mind. So how do I get right back on track, right? That's different than if you started to head south all of a sudden. To me, that's a better perspective to realize, well, I'm headed in the complete wrong direction. I need to change course and get back on track. Whereas if I just keep getting my progress knocked down, you might get back to zero progress and you're just so discouraged that you don't want to start again. But if you're going south, you can always make a U-turn and head back in the right direction. Again, it's not about speed. It's just about consistency. It's about faithfulness. It's about knowing where you want to go first. Like, what is your destination? Is it just to get a promotion? Is it just to have financial freedom? Is it just to have a stable family? Whatever that is, like, find that North Star and sort of set your mind to that and just get in cruise control and find a good pace where you can sustain for a long extended amount of time, to where you don't burn yourself out, to where you're making enough progress every day, or you're headed in enough the right direction every day, to where it doesn't seem like you're just totally on a treadmill, not going anywhere. You're at least moving, but you don't have to go super fast, right? So, there's been so many job interviews I've had in my life, in my career, probably more job interviews that I've been rejected for than I've actually gotten. And that's probably true for everybody if you just think about the numbers of it. But you could let those moments and sort of just blame the world and say, you know what? They didn't understand how good I was, or that person that I wanted to marry didn't see how good I was. It's their loss, whatever. Yeah, that could be true. But there's also lessons to be learned in any failure that you have. And if you take those lessons and from those failures and you use them as momentum to kind of continue in the right direction that you want to go, then that's just going to sort of compound over time. And then you're going to hopefully be an unstoppable force. All things considered, and you end up, continuing in the right direction. But that's something that's really helped me in my career, like grow and stay the course. Because there's been so many times in my career where I've been really discouraged. And if I just look at the external circumstances of where I'm at, it's like, it's really easy for one to just be like, throw in the towel and just give up. But knowing that I always have a North Star I'm headed towards, which is providing for my family, which is trying to feel like I'm actually making an imprint on this earth and the people around me, like, then I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let whatever I deal with or gets in my way sort of knock me down and keep me from growing. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, are you somebody that has always viewed life in terms of like a progress bar, or a ladder? You go up a few steps and you get knocked down, or have you been able to shift that thinking into thinking in terms of direction and a compass, and which way are you going in life? Let me know in the comments below. Maybe share a story or two of what you've experienced, and maybe it's helpful to me or to others in this community. If you found this video helpful, I would encourage you to like it, subscribe, again, join the around 350 plus other people here. Until next time, my name is Ryan Holguin, here with the Practical Place. I will see you in the next video.